question regarding selection of the project, the chapter. I see.
Yeah, you can just sign up for whatever you want.
Yeah, I did sign up, but you know, because I wanted to do AWS or Google, but some, you know, other students already took it. But even though I'm signing up for Oracle Autonomous Database, is that how do you put it, acceptable AI service to work on? Or?
Yeah, so what I think this would fall into other categories.
Oh,
what I would normally say is this is what are AI services in Oracle, and an Oracle Autonomous Database, is that considered to be an AI service? If yes, maybe then you.
Yeah, it's basically you will not get any APIs for this. It's the database which is basically going to do things for you.
Yeah, so then what I would actually do is take your line, go back in the spreadsheet.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
And then go on line number 21 at the very beginning.
Right. Okay.
At the very beginning, click on 21.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
And now do I think it's a Control X or so. And then go to the very bottom, and then suggest your own project there, and then just like put it there. Go to 44 and say Control V.
Control V says.
Come on.
So yeah, something.
So go back. No, you need to click on the 44. So click on the 21. Click on the 21.
Click on the 21.
Now you do the copy thing again.
Yeah, I did that.
Now you click on 44 and you do the V.
Yeah, that's what is that?
Command V.
Command V is what I'm trying to do. It's kind of not letting me. So let me just do this. Okay, I'll just re-add it. That's better, I believe, because I already have suggested one more, which is Twilio Autopilot. It's something thing that I found. Just wanted to suggest that, which is like a contact center Autobot kind of thing. But again, it's not as famous or familiar as like AWS or.
Well, what you may want, so you may want to have, because this may be somewhat limited. I don't know if that qualifies for an entire project or not. So what you do is start first with a project that you think will give you 100%, and if you figure out that this is actually a short description, you know, maybe you only have half a page or so, and then you go into the other thing so that you have a multi-page report.
Okay. So right, but then I do not have any other category to select from. So because all of them already filled, right? So only thing.
No, you remove yourself from the line number 21. Okay. Yeah. So that someone else can.
Sure.
Can take.
Other services from Oracle. That's not my issue. I just wanted to. I was curious to know more about the Oracle Autonomous Database. So I thought, like,
Yeah. So then write your topic there. Just simply say right in line number 44. Let's just.
Oh,
and then, yeah, and then just database, I would say. And then write this in there, and then put your name there. Yeah.
Okay, so if since you say this may not be 100% or this may not be 100%, should I still sign up for Oracle services?
No. Then you find something else. I think it doesn't make any sense to sign up for Oracle services and you research something else. Then you put too much work in it, right? I want you at one point to program. I want you to do something that you enjoy. And so I understand, there is maybe too many people who want to look into AWS, but there's something, but we cannot all 24 people or 30 people write us the same thing. What we want to do is we write about something different so that we can put everything together.
Makes sense. Okay. Agreed. And so for writing purposes is fine. But then, so if through this course in the future, I can still work on AWS, right? As you know.
Yeah, no, there's no problem with that one. Yeah, no. This is a theory, just a database, just as the same thing as a database assignment, right? Not everybody should be writing about Germany. That doesn't make any sense, right?
Okay, so I do, just okay, and either one is fine. I mean, that's why I provided a link here. That way we can take a look. It's an Autobot related to contact center.
Yeah. So the one thing is naturally you need to be figuring out how expensive is something like that. That needs to be part of your report. How expensive is to use this Twilio service? Right. So go once more to the website and we take another look at this.
Yeah, there is a pricing. I think there is some pricing.
So
pricing, yeah.
So when you go into the pricing, you have to figure out, what is the pricing capability there, and now they say this starts at per minute. Now the question is, how many minutes do you actually need to make that actually reasonable? So what's your projection for that service to be useful for someone, right? And so we see, for example, a $14 per month, 100,000 emails or whatever that means. So now I don't know what that service offers. Now we need to be figuring out what that particular service is actually offering.
Okay. So I think because it's related to contact center, you need to have like a little bit of functional knowledge about the contact centers. So
yes, and I don't know if you have that knowledge or not. So now go back to the main page. There should be an API, I would assume, right?
Yes, I think there was sign up. They want us to sign up, and then I think after you sign up, they give you the APIs. I mean, the APIs gets exposed. Pricing is here.
Okay, sign up and start building. I think, yeah, okay, click on API reference. Yeah, that's a good idea. Click there.
Because, yeah, this is the autopilot. Okay, so overview or full API reference?
Yeah, but you have to also describe the other APIs. So what you would have to do is like, for example, the voice API, using this REST API. So this is already good because this is what we do in class. So we teach you how to do a REST API, right? So now take a look at the Twilio voice API. That may be easier than the other one, right?
But Twilio voice API is not AI.
It's all right. You can say this is Twilio offers these services, and there's a voice API that does this thing. Right. And there's an AI service that does this thing. In this report, I focus on the AI service. However, they go hand in hand with the voice API, I would assume, right? So you have to figure out why they separate these services.
Oh, okay.
So when I go to Python there, so just click on Python just to see, and we are naturally, you can mention this in different languages, and as you can see, this is JavaScript though.
That's PHP, and then
oh, you just click on that Flask framework, yeah. Oh, so oh no, you had to click. No, go back. You had to click on Python. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so this is exactly how we deal with the CloudMesh virtual machines. So instead of creating a call, we are creating a virtual machine. So we create a client that authenticates, and they're using some of this very similar authentication mechanism than some of our clouds. Then we do the call, and we get a response back, and the response back is on the bottom there. So as you can see from there, so that's all pretty pretty standard. So this is good and easy to understand. So now go back to the AI service that you just dug out, and then we take a look at that one. Yeah, so as you can see, they also have a REST service that goes into the autopilot, and that's the URL. And they do a curl call with the assistance, okay? And then you have authentication. So I would assume that there are some samples here, field, scroll down a little bit. So they have some query example. So that means in the background, they run some service that does some more advanced things to the message. So and it's the same exactly example that you had previously in the API, and that's the reason why you can't just do the autopilot because you have to look at the voice API, and then here you now see as they do the same interface.
The interface wise, yeah, the API wise, they have similar things. It's just that one service is going to use the other one, because when you say AI, it has to call the other dependent services.
Yeah, and here you see in line number 11 it has client.autopilot, right? And that's how you distinguish this, right?
Right. Okay.
And so if you were to go back, you probably see then client.voice API or something like that. Yeah, see, you have their calls create, you know. But in principle, this is somewhat very similar, you know. And then the payload, essentially the parameters that you have, are kind of different.
Yeah, I mean this one is yes. Once we read, we know what these parameters mean and what should we do. And,
yeah. So yeah, you can choose this, and then it's up to you to figure out what, for example, that autopilot actually offers as a service. You will probably not know what's behind it, but you can describe what that service is, right? And here in this particular case, what you would do is you would not only describe what they offer, but you would give an example. You know, for example, here's an example on how to do the voice API, and here's an example on how do you do the autopilot. And you use a real example, including, you know, how do you sign up for the service?
Okay.
You know, and I hope there is a free, there was a free tier, right?
There is a free tier, but yeah, that's what I didn't.
And you need to be then discovering what that free tier is, because if you want to recreate this, then that would be really really cool. There, look at the AI bots. What is that doing?
I'm sorry.
And go back to the 2 windows before. There is this AI bots. Take a look at that one.
The same diet about it. That's what.
Yeah, and then you can see here this autopilot you can run, and so you just described it. But you need to be careful that you don't just paste and copy this, and then you can actually make even a pointer to the video, right? So you can include this in our MD file, and but what you cannot do is you cannot plagiarize. So so you cannot just paste and copy the entire page into the markdown and then be happy with it. You have to use your own words and so forth, right?
Yeah, and then I can give the reference to this page that way, people. So it's that first I had to understand so that I can rewrite it myself, and then give some references.
Right, and then the examples that you do for this thing you just do in Python, right?
Mostly Python. That's what my thinking is right now.
Because no. We want to have Python.
Yeah, I can.
So we don't want that you spend time in C or C++ and those things, because the rest of the book is all in Python. Yeah. And so they have here, for example, Ruby and C# and Java, and then they have Python. I would actually simply say stick with the Python.
Yeah, sure. I can speak with Python. My only thing is like so by when should I? So because I'm kind of Um, so Oracle has AI services too, which is like related to financial domains or human resource domains. I can do that as well. And
Yeah, so how much you want to do, that's really up to you, right? I mean, there is always an A and an A plus, right?
that's where
So
I need your help to understand what is it that will be more applicable to the class. And,
so the Twilio service that we just looked at too, that's the reason why I spent so much time with you, is this would be sufficient.
would be sufficient. Okay. But then no, so overall, because this is going to be used by other students in the future, overall Twilio, is it going to be any value add to our course? Things like that. So that is what I'm uh, trying to understand. If okay, for me, I can do this, but then is it going to be a value add, overall value add to our overall package from the
Well,
course?
that depends on your documentation and how you actually cast this, right?
Okay.
So it is only valuable if you can tell them, okay, here, this is how this cost. Here's a free tier. You can test out my program. Here's my program. That's what you need to do in order to run my program. Here's what the output is. And in addition to what you have done before, describing the general service.
Right, right. So I was trying to use this one in a different way, not like in the context of contact center, because this is more like a call center for businesses where you really need, you call somebody.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, the thing to think about is this call center is naturally in the cloud, right?
yeah.
So it is related to cloud computing.
Okay. All right. Okay. Uh, yeah, looks good to me.
If I were you, I would be picking one of Twilio or Oracle first. Do the one that you find more interesting, and then we have a series of evaluations. You have an entire month's time to work on this, and another student is supposed to be actually running your examples.
Okay.
And you just go ahead and do that, and you can already start today writing your thing, and post to the class and say, hey, here is my write-up on Twilio. Anybody wants to review it?
Okay. Yeah, me and Ashok has agreed that we can review each other's work. So that.
Yeah, I may have set up the class with auto review. I'm not yet sure. I have never done that. There is some kind of feature in Canvas. But I'm happy if you guys have some preferences, who reviews what. If you switch each other's thing, that would be fine. Right?
Yeah, so the fact is, me and Ashok are colleagues. So,
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense. So we should make that. So introduce in column J. Go to the very top and do a review suggestion, reviewer, yeah. And then what you do is just put Ashok in there behind you. So this way we already have that cleared away.
I'll just remove this one, Professor.
Yeah, yeah. For now, remove that one. If you figure out that this is not sufficient, then we can still add something, right?
Yeah, sure. Because I can also contribute to like what Ashok is doing on Kubernetes, because that's another subject I'm interested in. But then that's what I cannot do a lot, right? We have.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'll be with him so that I can work closely with him, and yeah, let's see. So
yeah. And again, I don't want to completely overwork you. I rather like that you guys work all on the projects and do something there. And certainly, if you're already working on cloud computing as part of your company, we can twist things a little bit around and make it a little bit more interesting for you. Because I have more complicated projects which I typically don't actually give to this class, but I can make the projects arbitrarily more complicated.
I mean, if you, yeah, I can help. I mean, I can help you out outside this class on that project if you want. Yeah, I can.
No. What I'm saying is you at one point have to decide what kind of project you do, right?
Okay.
And the project that we have is we have projects of various difficulty. if you, for example, are a person that hasn't done much Python programming, doesn't know anything about cloud computing, I recommend one type of project to make it easy for you. But
Sure.
if the type of project is boring for you, you can make the project arbitrarily complicated,
Okay.
and potentially relate them not to what you do at work, but maybe enhance what you do at work.
I mean,
And
yeah.
you know, it's just like, for example, in case you guys have a Kubernetes set up at work, you know, okay, and you do everything in Kubernetes, then a good project would be make sure that we can start CloudMesh in Kubernetes on all computers like Macintosh, Windows, and Linux, and
Right.
package up Kubernetes. Then the other thing is okay, we can also use Kubernetes to start virtual machines, right? So what is if you don't shut down the virtual machine in Kubernetes and just like have the virtual machine just hanging? And then what we do is we just use the virtual machine just as virtual machines, just as we normally do with Amazon and Azure. And then we just log in into the virtual machines and do certain commands on them or stuff like that.
Okay.
So don't use microservices the way we typically use microservices, but just start up a virtual machine just as we would normally do a computer. Stuff like this we can do, and then we can, in the scheduling framework, would then be is okay, can we utilize a scheduler in such a form that we create, for example, a distributed Kubernetes cluster that's actually hosted on Azure, Amazon, and Google. And what happens if you now stage microservices on this distributed cluster? Can we still do that? You know, that's a complicated project, I would assume. Right?
Yeah, sounds really complex because
But what I'm saying to you is when you listen sometimes to the class, there's a wide variety of expertise available, right? And what I don't want to do is that you become bored with something that we actually do and say, oh, this class is boring, right? No, the class is only boring if you make it boring.
makes sense. Yes, I agree. So if this one is not enough, I can always approach you so that I can get some more advanced.
Right. And then so what I sometimes advise is if you already know your project, sometimes the chapter can be tweaked into the direction project. However, in this class, I want to have a review of all AI services in the cloud. And so your Twilio would be an application-oriented AI service. And so maybe you should change this to app, you know, so say APP AI service. So, you know, this is an application-oriented AI service, which is different from the provider AI services that are being provided in general, right?
They're platform-based, right? So mostly, yeah.
Yeah.
This is,
so
even yesterday I was going through AWS and I was going through the data architecture, and then you know, in the section where you had listed the AWS services, and now I go and see that is there are like 4 or 5 new services that have been added by AWS. So
and so one of the things that you naturally can do is you can specialize in one of these services that are being offered, just as Twilio. So if you don't want to do Twilio, what you can do is this section on top is focusing on giving you an overview and then picking something. Right?
Okay.
If there are, however, 4 services there, so we may actually, there is a in the middle column under AI services. If you go very much on top, go on top. You see the title, right? So there is a title possible in these AI services that you, for example, say is okay. There are 4 or 5 services in AWS available, and I'm picking this particular AI service that's offered by Amazon.
Right. So that's why
you can still do that. If you already know that Amazon offers 4 services, then you can go ahead and say, okay, you know, I would really like to focus on this particular AI service.
Right. So I went here. I think it's here. Yeah. So yesterday, this is what I found. So they have started offering blockchain, which is one
Yeah,
of the,
you can make a section on blockchain.
and then robotics, quantum technologies, and game tech. So these are the new age services that we are going to see because they want to make writing games easy and or making robots easy or whatnot, right? So
Yeah. So in this particular case, I think we don't want to focus naturally on all the, yeah. So you can pick any one of these. Quantum technology, I would say, is let's not do this. So blockchain.
more more of theoretical right now than really
Yeah,
something.
let's not do this. This goes beyond this. This class is not about quantum computing. I understand that. So what we would have to do then is what we would have to do a new chapter and simply saying quantum computing offered in the cloud. That would be another chapter. You could be doing that as a chapter. But how do you want to do an example in Python on quantum computing so that others can replicate this?
I have no clue right now.
Because you would probably have to learn some significant amount of physics or so in order to do this.
Exactly.
Blockchain you can certainly do, but one of the things that you need to do is so there's a general question: what are the AI services in Amazon? Do they, for example, offer a CNN tool or something in that direction? Is there a service being offered by them that is purely AI? And I can see the robotics as one of the things that is related to that. You know, and now you would be then choosing AWS RoboMaker as one of the things that you would be reviewing.
But then it will require hardware and all those.
Yes, you would have to look what that actually means. That's correct. And
Yeah,
is this particular service offered in the cloud, or do you have to buy a kit, a robot that you run locally, and do this? But it says here, simulate and deploy robotic applications at scale, right?
yeah. So I went through this video yesterday, and then all it says is like you'll get services, and all you need to do is like create your robot the way you want, right? Basically, so the hardware you can choose any hardware, and then start using these services and make the robot do what you want to do, like
So what you can do is if you like that topic, you can include a new column, not a new column, a new row into the table under AWS, and you need to be specifying a title that says this is AI WS robot service, and then you put your name there. Then you don't have to do Twilio.
okay, I
So
can like.
that's really up to you. You know.
Yeah, but then that's what, right? If it requires hardware and everything, because I cannot so for I can buy a Raspberry Pi or something like that, but then so whatever hardware I buy, to showcase it to you, or it's going to be difficult, right? What
Well, you will have typically there's a simulator there, right? So
okay.
you would stay with the simulator.
I had to, yeah, that's what. So those are the things I had to explore if there is a
That's
simulator.
exactly correct. Yes.
So I just was going through this, and this really excited me. Robotics is something I have.
Yeah, well, why don't we do this right now? Just go in the table and then just choose that topic.
Okay, this one here.
Yeah, just remove your Twilio thing there. The entire line. Just go highlight the entire line and remove it. No. Just the entire line. Just remove the entire line. Okay. Now you go to the AWS section, and you put a new line in there after this, right? So insert one below. Now you put your name there, and you make link missing in there. So because you haven't yet created your report, right? And then now AI, whatever that robot service was. AWS Robot Maker. Okay. And then the only other thing is that there needs to be, because you work with 3 people, there needs to be at one point a unifying document that has an introduction. Here is a list of AI services that Amazon offers.
Right. But Amazon didn't, from this list, I do not see except the, so when you go to Amazon's list of products, I did not see anything that's like AI, right? So
yeah, but that is a result. That is what you have to say, right? In your
the matching or
machine learning. Yeah, so machine learning certainly has to be covered. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what. So and AI services for your business, right? So this is the only one that has AI services, right?
Right.
Which in the category of AI services, there are a lot of services, but not AI. That's what I was looking at, and
blockchain would certainly, in my view, also be a good topic.
It's not. Blockchain is more towards ledger. I mean, financial applications where you.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but the thing is that would be a good project also.
Yeah, I think the blockchain. I mean, just FYI.
We may already have actually something about blockchain from other students, okay, so that we could leverage. But okay, so now you have integrated that thought that you actually have, and you do the robot stuff.
Come again, sorry.
You do the robot, the AWS Robot Maker.
Okay, Robot Maker, but yeah, okay, fine. I'll start digging into that now.
Yeah, and if you find that actually, hey, that doesn't work out well, again, to have till February 3rd time to nail it down. Maybe you need to be doing something else, right?
Okay, so because this will itself will take me a couple of days to understand and see what can I get from here, right?
In my view, you don't have to change the topic, you just write about it.
Oh, fine. So I'll just keep the Robo Maker.
That's correct, yes. And then the way you do this now is see, go to your SP20 GitHub repository. Now create a directory or file, create new file. Say chapter, and chapter / and then report.md, and then put the headline in there. So you say headline. At this time, just do AWS Robot Maker, and then put your HID there. Yeah, Rahul, and then the HID, so it's easier for us to identify who you are. So go to the next line. Yeah, don't do a dash and a colon in the headline. We don't do dashes. Make a comma instead, or don't do anything. Just like do like this. So now in line number 2, go to line number 2. Enter. Now you say link. So square bracket open.
Oh.
I actually say report.md. Sorry, report.md. And then round bracket, and then copy the location of that file. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Oh no, not new. Just leave it for now empty, and then chapter. I think that needs to be. We need to fix that. Remove line number 4, and just commit this, so that we have created that thing, and then we copy the link. So now you have, you go in there, you copy the link in the URL and put that into the document. So open that document, copy the link from there, and change it. Yeah, you know, and then make a star in front of line number 3, so that this is the itemized list. So now you put in now in line number 3, above this, line number 2, you make another empty line. And now you put in there Rahul and then your name. Because at one point we will be removing the names out of the title. Enter. And then your HID. But here you make now a link to your directory. Yeah. And then bracket open, bracket closed, because we need to get the link from, yeah, perfect. And then put a star in front of line number 3 and line number 5 and remove line number 4. And then line number 7 would now be # introduction, right, or something like this. And then you don't write machine learning is the best thing since sliced bread. Cloud computing is the best thing since sliced bread. What you focus on is actually AWS RoboMaker.
Yeah, yeah, I read that.
Yeah. Okay. So I get always these half-page introductions why cloud computing is so great, and I'm bored reading those. Yeah. So now this thing will be then introduced into our proceedings, and using Book Manager, you can actually review your thing, right? So.
Book Manager.
This is a tool that I have written that can create a report out of Markdown.
Oh.
So remember when you get the EPUBs, I have a program that actually creates these EPUBs. And I have a program that actually can create out of your report.md an EPUB. And I will be teaching you guys how to do this so that I'm not constantly fixing your errors.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So everything that we write here automatically will get.
Yeah, you just write in there. That's right. And now when you naturally do PyCharm, you can use your PyCharm for writing this.
Right. Yes. So I'll be using PyCharm to write my report and then finally push it here.
Right. Just remember that the Markdown syntax we have is simpler than the one that PyCharm or GitHub has. If you see it in GitHub, it doesn't mean that it shows up in the report correctly.
Right. Yeah. I always come and check here and then see if the syntax and everything.
Yeah. But when you look at this picture, it doesn't actually render properly.
This one or which picture?
Yeah. Edit. I show you an error. So now put in line number 10. Remove line number 10. And then you write in there http://www.google.com. Now save this.
Okay.
This shows up as a link. However, it is not a link in Markdown. This is a link in CommonMark, which is being used by GitHub, but we are not using CommonMark, which is not Markdown.
Right.
So if you edit this page and you were to make a square bracket, an angle bracket before and after, not square bracket, sorry, angle bracket.
Angle. This one?
A smaller, greater.
Oh, this one. Okay.
Yeah, just remove the Google stuff, remove it. And then put the smaller away and put it at the end, the greater, yeah.
Same thing here?
At the end, yeah. No, just one, smaller at the beginning.
Smaller at the beginning.
And greater at the end. Like this, yes, like this. So now if you save this, it renders the same.
But the link won't go there.
But now it's proper Markdown. And so I always get this problem that the students are just looking what GitHub provides, but we are not using GitHub. So that's the one disadvantage that we have. And so if you look at all the sources that we have here, like for example, that one, he has a space at the end before the bracket. And if you remove that space, that thing will be then rendering properly.
I found that. But I was thinking to change it to this format, the one here, the one we use here.
No, that's too complicated because we will be doing this slightly different. So since you're already on there, download the tool that's called Jabref.
Jabref, yeah, I think you mentioned that, right?
I'm not sure if it's distributed through the store.
Okay, I can go to this one.
Yeah. So download and install this tool. I typically do the universal.
Normal jar?
Yeah, that one. Yeah, something like that. The jar file. And for this, you certainly have to have Java on your machine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I work for Oracle. We own Java, so.
Also, you do work for Oracle. Okay. Okay. Yeah, just install it somewhere in. I would. Yeah, that's up to you. Where you can put it in the desktop or whatever.
No, I generally have like shortcuts to go to this one.
So and then double click on this and see if you can, or do a Java. So if you double click on it, you may be able to run it. Can't be opened. You may have to authenticate this, right? Open this, say open this. No. Click on Java in a right click. Say open this. Open this. And then you do this. Yes. So this may actually already work. And then you say open. And so what you now do is you create a new file. And this is your bibliography manager. And there's this plus thing going on there in the middle under options. So you click on this. And this is a MISC entry. And this entry that you had, Google, is a web reference. So you need to have, no, wait a second. You have to have a key, and the key is www-google. Actually 3 W's, right? And so now optional fields, go to optional fields. Now the author would be Google, but because Google is not a real username, you have to do the curly brackets around Google. Yeah, like this, that's correct. Now the title would be Google web page. And how published would be web page, capital W, web space, and then capital page. And then the months would be when you have accessed it, that would be today, January, year 2020. And now you go on the next fields. Click on this. Okay, click on the next one. Now you see the URL there.
Yes.
And now you put the URL in there. And that's about it. Now click on the last field, the last tab. This is how we enter this. So if you have another one, you don't have to fill out the form. You just copy the Google entry and you just change whatever it's there. So now save this into a file, but this, so if you, for example, have Oracle there, you can say www-oracle. And then you change the Google author to Oracle. And then you have Oracle web page. Just to give you an example, right? And then Oracle there. So now you save this into your report directory. So save library, yeah. Yeah, just say save. And we want to have this in your CM directory and in your SP. Yeah, and you can make a shortcut to your HID thing there.
Yeah.
Wherever you store it. I think I recommend to put CM in the home directory.
Yeah, I have another Ubuntu machine. That's where this is my work machine. So
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, just save it somewhere where you would be saving your report. Okay. That's correct. So just name it report. And now if you have your report.md yeah, so this needs to go in there, right? Add that file there.
that's so easy. Yeah,
So now you can go into the report.md and you want to use this reference, then you say in introduction, you write now a sentence. You know, Google provides AI services, something like this, right? Remember, you have to have a space between 7 and 8. Google has AI services. So now go behind Google, make a square bracket open, and there's a space after the Google. No. Yeah, Google space, and then you say add, the add sign. And now we had a BibTeX key reference, www-google, and then bracket closed. Now you don't have to do anything else anymore. You can delete the 11. And when you save this, it will render wrongly. But when we integrate this in our book, it will be showing up correctly.
So right now it's going to show like that.
That's exactly correct. That's how it's supposed to be. And it will create at the end of your report a reference section. And in the reference section, it will be putting that that bibliography reference in there automatically.
So this one, right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, this is really nice, and yeah.
So you don't have to think about your references or anything like this. You just do this. You just fill it out in a form, and then you can do this. And what I have actually done is last semester, a student actually has written a tool for me that I may point you guys to, it integrates in Chrome, and it creates these things automatically from the URL that you see in Chrome. It's really super cool. So with one like 30-second, and then you naturally have to fix it, but with one click you can essentially get the URLs.
Yeah, something like a crawler from the Chrome.
Yeah. He wrote in the last class he wrote a Chrome plugin. Okay. So it was really nice. So and this is what I'm saying is you can contribute in many different ways to this class. You don't have to limit yourself to what we currently are doing in class.
I mean, we generally want to, and the only thing is, first we are trying to understand what we are supposed to do, and then once we...
Right. So at this time, I'm actually writing a documentation about CloudMesh and the architecture of CloudMesh so that you can do this. But type in, for example, in your URL browser, manual CloudMesh and GitHub.
Like that?
Yeah. Now click on this. And you can click on the top link. Go to the top. Yes. Yeah. And you see here the manual page for what we are doing. Yeah. And this is not completely up to date. because we have made last week some changes, and so the installation instructions are not yet up to date. I hope that we by Friday have this done up to date and so forth. But this describes essentially how do we set the example. Like, for example, it still talks about Python 3.74. You know, we need to be making sure that that is all changed and points to the correct versions.
So only we can use variables here. That way, this variable, everything gets changed.
Yeah, I thought about that, and this was one of the suggestions that the TA had, and I said yes, do it. And so now I'm waiting. But I don't think it will happen. You know, so I will probably have to do something in that direction.
Yeah, because there's so many references, right? Everywhere you will be having Python 3.7.
No, actually, this is the only time we really have that reference.
Okay.
So one of the things that I can actually do, so you can download this actually in your environment. So take a look in PyCharm.
Oh, PyCharm. I don't know if I have PyCharm.
Oh, you didn't download this in this machine, right?
Yeah, because I have another Ubuntu machine.
Yeah, no, when you are working on your Ubuntu machine, you can actually look into the CM directory after you have done the CMS install. And the manual is in there. And you can create pull requests into the manual if you want to.
Yeah, I'll go check out today.
Yeah.
Sure.
And every student probably that works on this simpler project will get write access into the manual. And you can actually see how many people have contributed to this. There's a lot of people.
Right, yeah. Because I know this is like super extensive documentation. I know you need a lot of hands to do this. Because,
well, the other thing is look, for example, there are cloud accounts, right? So click on, for example, AWS Create. So this is actually creating a cloud account. We actually have something even better than this. We have a tool that you can invoke from the command line that automatically fills out the AWS GUI or the web form and creates an account for you. It's super cool.
yeah.
So you never have to, well, you can actually do this from the command line. It's very nice.
Yeah.
So,
so
and then if you want to, for example, check your program against Azure, then you can click on Azure account creation or Google or so, you know. So we have this all documented. And so what we do every year is the students are, you know, I started with this last year. The students are responsible for updating the documentation. And what we had last year happen is that Azure in the middle of the class changed their GUI. So I made it from that point on a point that the students are responsible for making sure that you create screenshots, document how this works correctly, so that when you are a newcomer into the class, you can immediately figure out how do you actually get an Azure account.
Right, but screenshots is like it's better to avoid mostly in documentation because they keep changing.
That's correct, and yeah, so people need to be updating those.
Yeah, because if you say okay, go to this page, fill out what is required for this fields, use these values. That's
right. It's the responsibility of the class to update these.
Let's see how much I can update on this one. I'll try to, you know, add.
Right. So now for your project, you will be picking two clouds, and you would be the first thing that you would do is update that documentation so that if someone were to use your project, you know how to actually get you know, an account on that cloud. Now, since there are usually like 5 or 6 people on one cloud, or maybe even 10, you know, you guys can all collaborate with each other and say, you know, I'm too lazy to do this. Why don't you do this? And then after you do this, I test it out for you and make improvements. Or I do the first half, you do the second half, you know, or you work with your work colleague together, you know, one does one cloud and the other one does another cloud, and you exchange between each other. So that's all nice, right? So you can do that.
Yep. Sure.
And then the other thing that I want to show you is there's an API reference, because you seem to be understanding where we're going. On the bottom, yeah, there's a CloudMesh API. Click on CloudMesh API. There, this one.
Oh, nice.
Here are the packages. And so click on, for example, CloudMesh Common. These are the easier packages. And so in here you have like a benchmark package. And this benchmark is documented in, for example, our cloud, how we are going to be using this. There's not an example given here, but you know that there's a benchmark thing in there. That apparently it says start and stop. And so that means you don't have to write a benchmark. You just call benchmark and start stop, right? So go search for CloudMesh in the URL, CloudMesh Cloud, in the URL bar, CloudMesh Cloud.
Just search.
Yeah, CloudMesh and then space cloud. Go to that repository.
This one, right?
Yeah. Go to a repository called tests. And what we will be doing is go to one local. This will be one of our future homework assignments. We will be asking you to run all the tests in this directory. And you can, for example, click on any one of those. And this is what in your project you will be doing. You will be creating tests. You copy essentially this test. And then you have the benchmark start and stop. The line in between is being benchmarked, okay? Now, if you go on the very bottom of this file, there is a test benchmark. It says benchmark print. This prints you out a table of all the benchmarks where the function names are the keys for the benchmarks. And it can also print out details of your machine. And so this way, what you will do in your project, you will be creating these benchmarks and everybody can execute that on their machine. And then you will see wild variety of performance. For example, the people that have 8 gigabytes and maybe running like 10 other programs at the same time will be running for 45 minutes. While those with 8 gigabytes and don't run anything will be running for 45 seconds. You know, and then we can actually verify if someone has actually a wrong computer setup.
Okay.
Yeah. So
yeah.
stuff like this we will be doing.
Yeah, benchmarks are like, yeah, they come really handy when you have to do that stuff.
And so now when you look at the so what you technically need to do is you can actually copy this thing and put this already as a pull request under a tests directory in, for example, CloudMesh-multipass. And then you can say shell execute CMS, and then the multipass command that you have. And this would be already a super contribution from you into this. So why don't you copy this file here? Copy, go in raw, copy this. Since we're already talking about it, now go into the CloudMesh-multipass.
I don't think so. I have seen.
No, you need to. You don't have write access, so you need to go next to the web browser.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can click on CloudMesh, and then you will be finding CloudMesh-multipass. So now you say create new file. And then you say tests, no, not tests, tests, this plural.
How do I change?
Leave the page. Yeah. Tests, and then you say test underscore. Actually, I would call it multipass. .py, and then passed in this thing. So go to the very top, see there where test name is, then line number 17. You call this test multipass, like, yeah, multipass. Go to the very top of the file, line number 2. you change the tests. You remove the directory here, and you call this tests underscore multipass. Do the same thing with the next line.
So we should have
Remove the one local directory in both, in line number 3 and 4, remove one local directory. And see the test name there, you will do, well, I think, that, yeah, so you need to say test multipass dot, yeah.
the method name should I
Yeah, and then keep that. Okay. So now go in the start. So the help, you know what we do have, CMS multipass help, right? Or CMS help multipass. So just put the help multipass in there. Now you have test VM, that would be starting a virtual machine, right? A launch of a virtual machine in the next one. So we just do help, just don't do help VM, say multipass. Yeah, just do images. Say, no, say test images there. And then you say CMS multipass images. And then in assert, we should probably see 1804. So remove the sample 1, 2, 3, and so forth. Where you see assert.
come again? Sorry.
See assert the first sample. You simply say a string 1804. And you take the array out of the whole thing. Yeah, the quote too. Yes. Yes. In result, that should work. Remove the next test. And just save this. And did you install it on your machine currently or not?
No, not this one. Sorry.
Oh, not this one. Okay, yeah. But just go there and then
You wanted me to do something?
just commit it, you know. Yeah. I will accept this change. Just create new pull request there. Go to the top and just create new pull request in the green. And I will accept this change. And this will be already one step further because we have now also already a test. And the way you execute this, you simply say pytest and the directory tests.
Okay.
And then it will be executing that test. And then we can add more tests to it, like for example, starting a virtual machine, deleting a virtual machine, and so forth and so forth. And this is what means reproducible results. So we really do some testing that is being executed by the TA. And we hope that your tests, so you will be spending a lot of time on looking at the tests. And then we will be figuring out that this all works out fine.
Yeah, lots to learn. I know. Yeah.
Well, that's the reason why some people actually like this class, because this is something that you don't learn in the Python language class, right?
Oh, of course. I mean, see,
this is something you may not even learn in the software engineering class, right?
Sure. I mean, we learn so much every day at work, and of course, you know, when you do practical, it's a completely different experience than books and just taking the knowledge. So yeah, I love to be practical and
so you were working in Oracle, is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, where are you guys located?
I am in Santa Clara.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's a nice area. So that's comfortable living there, right? So that's pretty good. So yeah, so that's all that I actually wanted to display. So you're way ahead of the curve. I think you're now the most advanced student that we have.
Oh, yeah.
So, so you know, with this meeting here, right? You know, we post the meeting, and after people listen to the meeting, we have them catch up. Okay, good. Anything else that I can help with?
No, I just had the question regarding choosing the chapter, but now you
Yeah.
helped because I wanted
Oh,
to do
yeah.
that's good.
Well, this what I've just done with you today is probably helps you saving like 3 or 4 hours. So
Yeah.
you will be pleased with this. Okay, so I have to sign up, sign off. So I have to do some other stuff. Okay.
Sure. Thanks. Thanks, Professor. Thanks for
Yeah. I'll talk to you then. Bye.